The negative news cycle in Nio and other EVs has been strong in recent weeks, and optimism for these stocks, for this industry, has gone from an all-time high to more reasonable levels now. I don't see too many Nio to the moon TikTok videos or YouTube videos that often anymore. And that tells me that, investor excitement has just kind of died down a bit. People aren't as excited now that the stock price has dropped over 50%. But here's the thing. When I see things like this happen in the stock market, when I see stocks beaten down massively, but I still see their fundamentals growing well, the outlook is good, the projection for the business is still on track, I start spending more time looking into those stocks as a possible investment because, trust me, there's a lot of money to be made on that recovery back up. I've done this plenty of times before, guys. I've done this with Nvidia. When everyone was selling off Nvidia stock, data center fears, all this stuff, I bought Nvidia heavy, and I'm up over 270% on that stock. I did this with Align Technologies, a much smaller market cap company. Everyone was like, oh, this company is going to have struggles in China, expansion, all this stuff. Stock sold off massively. I bought in because the fundamentals look good, and I'm up well over 200% on that investment. Guys, Tesla, that's the most obvious one. Everyone was like, okay, this company's going bankrupt. This company has no future. EVs, who cares about EVs? I bought heavy. We're up well over 1,000% on that investment. Yeah, I love buying stocks when the general sentiment is negative, but the fundamentals line up, and Nio may be at that point right now. Now, if you weren't familiar, I actually have a Nio position already. Cost base is around $6 per share. Bought this a while ago. I haven't added to the position since, but maybe at these levels I will consider once again because things are starting to line up. Now, on the weekend, I released a video that outlines some events that Nio had for this week and how this week could be a catalyst to start moving the stock higher once again. Today, Nio Stock was up over 5%, and this definitely is helping relieve some uncertainty and some fear that investors have been feeling in recent weeks. And I totally get it. If you bought Nio like $60+ per share like 2 months ago when these YouTubers and stuff were pumping these stocks to the moon, trust me, I feel for you, but all hope is not lost. If you can just, take a step back and just think, okay, this is a long-term investment. I will make money on this long-term. I think you'll be just fine. Just let it play out. Don't panic, don't fear, don't lock in losses at this point because the metrics for this business, the growth, and what I'll show you in a second, what analysts feel, is still looking really good, guys. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, Nick, you've made videos saying Nio to $100 per share or Nio has huge upside or whatever. And yes, I have made titles and thumbnails on that because quite honestly, YouTube is extremely competitive and the chance of you clicking a video that says Nio stock can go up 10% is much lower than if someone said Nio stock can go up to $100 per share. However, in those videos, I try to explain my thought process and kind of the path to that $100 per share. And unlike a lot of these other YouTubers, it's not like, oh, it's going to happen next week or next month. It's something like, okay, a few years out, Nio is most likely going to get there. And hopefully, if you spend the time to watch those videos, you would understand that. I know some people just see the title, see the thumbnail, they click it, they post a hate comment, and then they peace out. And hey, this channel is not meant for them, so good riddance. But if you guys are here and still watching this video, I appreciate you. So what we had yesterday was an analyst come out and give a very bullish outlook for Nio, and he addressed quite a few of the concerns, which I think contributed quite nicely to today's stock run. Vijay Rakesh, a 5-star analyst, ranked 79 out of 7,459 on Tip Ranks, pretty good rating here, has a success rate of 69% and has come out and reiterated his outlook on Nio stock. He has a $60 price target on Nio and is optimistic on their earnings report next week. And here is the interesting part, guys, because he takes the time to ease some concerns around the global chip shortage that Nio, Tesla, and other manufacturers are seeing. He believes that despite the chip shortages, Nio's sales are likely to remain strong through 2021, with a likeliness of doubling through year end, even if production slows somewhat in the near term Q2. So he thinks, despite everyone saying, oh, these chip shortages are going to hurt these companies badly and the story is going to die off and these are not good investments anymore, he believes this is just a short-term blip and honestly is a long-term opportunity as an investment. He expects deliveries to hit 87,000 EVs this year, 141,000 in 2022, and 223,000 in 2023, so some very strong growth throughout. And this was like a, piece by piece article, because the next thing he hit on was profitability. He addressed another big concern. Rakesh believes that Nio will keep growing revenues in the mid to high double-digit percentile, and that it could turn a profit in 2022, which is next year. He then explains that his $60 price target is based on a conservative 8.8 times 2022 sales. So I think this is a pretty reasonable price target he has set based on the number that he has provided. And 8.8 times price to sales for next year is not bad at all. I typically be looking, even for like a 10 to 12 for such a high growth company, I think is still reasonable. So he's gone on the conservative side here, which should speak volumes and probably has people excited, saying, hey, if he's conservative with a base case of $60 per share for the next year, there's a good chance that this thing could hit, 80, 90, maybe even $100 per share if the hype and the excitement starts building back up. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be like you wake up tomorrow morning and the stock's at like $60 per share. That's just not how the market works. But if you have a long-term outlook, you could probably be seeing that price by this time next year. So now, say you're someone that's bag holding this at like, $60 per share. You bought in near the top. What could you do? Well, there's a couple of things, and one of the big ones is dollar cost average, averaging over time. That's typically what I love doing for companies I have strong conviction in. When stock price drops, I just lower my cost basis, lower my cost basis, lower my cost base, and eventually it's going to start rallying higher if it's a good business, and it'll go above my cost basis and I'll be making a ton of money. Now, to kind of give you a little more conviction and a little more confidence on where Nio is today and where I think it's going to start going over the next few weeks and months, let's jump over to the charts and talk about the technicals. So after this 50% correction here, it looks like we may have actually found a bottom for Nio Stock. And I've been watching this quite closely. YouTubers were pumping it all the way up here. I was kind of like, guys, just be cautious on this. The outlook does look good for this business, but fundamentals are just disconnected right now. So just give it time to play out. And then we have the whole market correct here, at least when it comes to growth stocks, EV stocks, speculative stocks. Nio got hit extremely hard, down over 50%. But now what I see is signs of a bottom and signs of a possible opportunity. Think of it this way. You're getting the stock now essentially half off from just a few months ago. So, when everyone was hyping up this stock and saying, oh, Nio to the moon and Nio to whatever price target they had, and you felt maybe a little bit of FOMO in the 50s or 60s, rest assured that you're getting it now at a steep discount. And a lot of those investors are probably wishing they just waited a little bit longer to get it at these prices. But now here's the thing. There is still risk with Nio. It's still a richly valued stock. However, it's much, much better now than it was a few months ago, and with their outlook and where the company is going, this is actually looking good. We can see the red line here is actually the 200 moving average, which is a strong level of support. We're on the daily chart, and you can see it bounced off of this once, came up, bounced off of this again, bounced off of this a third time, so a triple bottom. And now today we had a nice green candle, and it's starting to show signs that, hey, maybe it can burst up higher. There's also a huge event coming up next week, guys, which is their earnings expected on 29th of April. And this could be the event that pretty much sends the stock gapping above their moving averages here and moving higher. Now, here's the thing. There's a couple ways to play this, okay? Not financial advice, but just kind of my thought process. If you really, really wanted some exposure to Nio shares, you could start building up a position today in like the high 30s. And, if it drops a little bit below to the mid to low 30s, you kind of average down on that. But personally, what I'd be waiting and watching for is for the stock to break past these moving averages here. So this is actually going to be a very strong level of resistance that the stock's going to see. You can see it already rejected it once when it tried to break past this. Now we have two moving averages to try to break past, but earnings is coming up, and that's usually a catalyst that can push us above this. What we want to see, guys, is a clear break above this, and we want to actually close above this as well on the day. If we're able to do that and kind of sustain that for, a couple of days, that'll be a very strong bullish sign that the stock is probably ready to start trending higher once again. We can see this actually happened very recently with Tesla here. Tesla kind of struggled to break past as well, broke past finally, And now you can see this is actually turned into a level of support for the stock, and we're probably going to make a run for all-time highs very soon on Tesla. Again, their earnings is also next week as well. And I think something very similar is bound to happen here with Nio, with the technicals lining up. We look at the weekly chart, we can see we also found support here on a very strong 50 moving average level. And this is just another sign to kind of confirm that this is a good level of support for the stock. We probably bottomed in the stock. There's a higher probability now that we're going to start moving higher than move lower from this point. And if you're willing to kind of have a speculative position here and just kind of make a bet on the stock, can't really blame you if, these prices are starting to look appealing. So needless to say, I think Nio is quite compelling here in the $30 range. Once it gets into the 40s, still pretty good. It'll give us a much more clear indication once it clears those resistance levels. And when that does happen, it'll give us an opportunity to make a run back to all-time highs over time. Again, 2021 is a very different year. Ever since the crash in March for these stocks, the excitement, the sentiment, the rallies in these sort of businesses are not the same. Just accept that, move on from that, and you will come out much better as an investor. It's unlikely that we're going to see massive runs in these stocks in the next few weeks or months. However, over the long term, good businesses will prevail, and Nio has a shot at being one of those companies. So I hope this video was, helpful. I tried to be logical. I tried to explain myself as best as I could, and I hope you found value in that. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.